Khaos Reigns has had some major news dropped within the trailer, but to me, none seem more important to the DLC and the future of the Mortal Kombat series as a whole than this image here of Havik having 6 stones imbued in his chest, which everyone can only assume are the Kamidogus. Today, I'm going to break down the history of the Kamidogus, what they can mean for the story of Khaos Reigns, eventually Mortal Kombat 2's story, and characters that these artifacts might bring to a sequel of the game, including what I think Mortal Kombat 2 might contain overall in terms of game modes and more. If any of that sounds interesting to you, stick around as we will be covering all of this throughout the video. But before we get into all of that, I just wanted to thank you guys so much for showing out on the recent like goals along with the overall support you've been giving me on the channel. It would help me out tremendously if you could just take 1 second, scroll down on the page and hit that thumbs up button and make it glow. While you're down there, also consider subscribing as most people tuning into the content aren't subscribed, and so you can keep up to date with continued coverage for Khaos Reigns, other AAA titles throughout the year, my playthroughs, hilarious content, and more. On this video, we are shooting for the moon. Let's go ahead and try for 50 likes on this video as it would help me out tremendously. But without further ado, grab a water and a snack, sit back and relax as this may be a long one. As a quick disclaimer, a lot of the general knowledge of the Kamidogus is coming from the Mortal Kombat wiki, where we will be pulling some excerpts from, so huge shout out to that. Alright, so let's start from the top with the Kamidogus themselves. Kamidogu, which roughly translates from Japanese to English as God Tool or Divine Equipment, are mystical relics in the universe of Mortal Kombat that were crafted by the Elder Gods. When used in sorcery, they are said to have incredible powers that can make and unmake all of reality. The power of each Kamidogu can only be fully used by one individual. So if one were to make use of all of the Kamidogu, this person has to fuse all 6 Kamidogu into one. Wielded by the wrong hands, the Kamidogu could endanger existence itself. Let's start by breaking this part down and how it already relates to Khaos Reigns. Essentially, these relics are tools created by the Elder Gods that can bend reality as we know it, and can make new realities as well as destroy them in an instant if that was the desired outcome. Each Kamidogu can only be bonded with one user, so in order to actually use all of them, they have to be fused together. As we've already seen in the trailer, Havik has done just that by fusing them to his body. But one thing is already irking me in this regard. If Havik can literally make and destroy realities with these stones, why not just obliterate Liu Kang's timeline since they seem to be such a problem putting up a major fight and foiling his plans? Well, I think the answer to that is Geras. Geras was Kronika's lackey when she was Keeper of the Time, and now he succeeds Liu Kang after he was Keeper of Time, as Liu Kang wanted to become Earthrealm's Elder God. The thing about Geras is that he has seen multiple timelines himself and retains memories from both timelines. Along with that, this is essentially the only timeline with multiple timelines coexisting all at once. As Geras says in his arcade ladder ending for Mortal Kombat 1.
Protecting this timeline would require eternal vigilance, so that it could not fall victim to further outside aggression. But nothing in my countless lifetimes had prepared me for this task. In none of them had multiple timelines ever coexisted.
Meaning that of every Keeper of Time to ever exist, this Geras can be one of the most important characters in the game now when it comes to him in the Mortal Kombat universe, as he not only has kept his memories of things that have happened in the 2 timelines, but has had major encounters and experiences in the only timeline to have multiple instances running at once. We also see him in the Khaos Reigns trailer being captured when Havik is 1v3ing Liu Kang, Kung Lao, and Raiden, as well as fully captured while Bi-Han is being set up for becoming noob through the Chaos Serum in the trailer as well. To see those moments clearly, check out my trailer breakdown, which will be linked down below, which also showcases other things you may have missed throughout the trailer. Overall, I know, it's already getting confusing. That's why I'm not too much into the whole multiple timelines gimmick, but here we are, right? The TLDR is that now Geras is one of the most important characters in the lore with insane powers coming from the Hourglass, and his knowledge of what happens in other timelines and this one's. More importantly this one's, because this one is the only one to have concurrent timelines that run at the same time, which splintered off of the events that happened in Mortal Kombat 11 and what Liu Kang did as Keeper of Time. Now let's get back into more of the Kamidogus. The Kamidogu embody the essence of each of their respective realms. There is one pertaining to each realm, although I would personally say each major realm. The realms in question are Earth Realm, Nether Realm, Chaos Realm, Outworld, Order Realm, and Edenia. There is one more Kamidogu that is connected to and surpasses all other Kamidogu, as it embodies the essence of not just one realm, but all of the universe. That final Kamidogu turned out to be the sacred amulet that Shinnok carries. So let's break this part down now. All realms have a corresponding Kamidogu relic, but as I said earlier, really it's all major realms, as something like Vaeternus, Natara's realm, doesn't fall in line with this. Technically, in the events of past games, Vaeternus gets essentially added to Outworld when Shao Kahn conquers it. But she's been wanting to unmerge them and have Vaeternus have its freedom like it used to before, which is basically her whole reason of being involved in the plot of past games. The Kamidogus are part of the realms listed before, with each being tied to that specific realm, and are described as a certain color and even have a certain look in Deception when Shujinko is gathering them in the plot of Deception. Here in Khaos Reigns, the Kamidogus look just like raw crystals or gems and are seemingly fused to Havik. On screen, I will be putting pictures of all Kamidogus and where they are from so you can get familiar with them and see their colors as represented in Deception. Then, I'll list their color description from the wiki. In the most recent in-game version of the Kamidogus, the description of 4 Kamidogus are provided in MKX. Earth Realm being Emerald, Nether Realm being Ruby, Chaos Realm being Topaz, and Outworld being Amethyst. You can see that these colors roughly translate to what we can see from the physical forms in Mortal Kombat Deception that they are given. But there are 2 Kamidogu descriptions that are missing, the Sapphire-looking Order Realm one, and the yellow and white Yin-Yang sign Kamidogu from Edenia. If you compare these colors to the image of the Kamidogus imbued into Havik's body, we can decipher which Kamidogu is most likely which using the colors provided. Now you'll have to excuse me on this part as I am a bit colorblind, but the points should still line up even if I'm slightly off. The top left having more tinting of green should be Earth Realm's Emerald, the bottom left being the more pinkish purple should be Outworld Amethyst, the top middle red should be Nether Realm, and to the bottom right of that should be the blue to represent Sapphire from Order Realm. Now here is where it gets confusing. There is a yellow and white stone still left with Edenia and a topaz one from the Chaos Realm. Chaos Realm is described as topaz, so yellowish orange in nature, and Edenia is the yellow and white Yin-Yang Kamidogu, with no color description that I could find. So we can assume that the yellow stone on the far right of Havik's chest is actually Chaos Realm's topaz, and Edenia is actually the white Kamidogu toward the bottom of his chest using the white part of the Yin-Yang physical form it had. Now that we've broken down which Kamidogu is which, you'll also notice there is no 7th Kamidogu that we can see on him, which would be Shinnok's amulet. And if you remember from the story of Mortal Kombat 1, General Shao is actually given Shinnok's amulet to use against our heroes when in Shang Tsung's lair.
So you sanction these unspeakable horrors? Lie to me about the threats we face? Thanks to you, Earthrealm blood is already on my hands. Bloodshed, without cause or provocation.
Don't move.
Empress, everyone, stay back.
What is it?
The Amulet of Shinnok, a weapon of terrifying power.
It should not exist. Its maker is powerless, as Liu Kang designed.
Now, I don't think that this exact version of Shinnok's amulet will come into play for a theory I'll state later on, but it is possible. And remember, as stated in the wiki, the amulet is not only connected to the Kamidogu, but it surpasses all of them by itself, and is not tied to a realm, but to an entire universe. So we may be taking down Havik with the amulet, but my money is on this being a bigger and more developed overall plot leading into Mortal Kombat 2. Think about it, Mortal Kombat 11 Aftermath was essentially must-play material in order to understand what really happens into the introduction of Mortal Kombat 1. And I think the same will be happening leading into the eventual release of Mortal Kombat 2. Now, without making this video 30 minutes long and just about the Kamidogus in the comic book run of the past game and their history in it, I'm going to sum up MKX's comic version of the Kamidogus since Havik played a major part in it. It is going to be very layman and very simple so we can get on to our next major point. In the MKX comics, the Kamidogus were daggers, and these daggers were corrupted by Havik and let him control whoever was cut by these said daggers. while also amplifying their abilities while doing so. This would happen through the blood magic they would invoke after cutting someone with one of the Kamidogu daggers. Along with this, way later into the plot, a major plot twist was revealed stating that the daggers had tasted the blood of the One Being, which is where the Kamidogu seemingly get all of their power. In this sense, I believe in Khaos Reigns, this is what allows Havik to use his blood as a chaos serum and corrupt individuals that he imbues with his blood, essentially controlling them after being injected, like all the different Chaos versions of characters we see fighting alongside him. This also brings in our next major point of the One Being. The One Being has been subtly teased throughout Mortal Kombat as a series, but is essentially where I think the plot and maybe even the end of the Mortal Kombat series is heading to. The One Being was first introduced in Mortal Kombat Deception. The One Being is considered to be the progenitor or creator of the realms in Mortal Kombat. According to legend, at the beginning of time, there were only the One Being and the Elder Gods. The One Being fed off of the essences of the Elder Gods, but eventually the Elder Gods defeated the One Being. And in order to weaken the One Being and make sure they don't return, they separated the One Being's consciousness into the realms and created the 6 Kamidogu, which held the One Being's essence. Legend states if one were to obtain all 6 Kamidogu with Shinnok's sacred amulet as well, he or she would be granted ultimate power. The One Being's disembodied consciousness seeks to reunite all the realms in order to make itself whole again. It is implied that it has acted through beings such as Onaga and Shao Kahn and is responsible for their attempts to merge the realms, particularly trying to merge Earthrealm into Outworld. There is also a scene in MKX's ladder ending for Shinnok that shows the fallen Elder God successfully re-merging all the realms to reawaken the One Being, allowing it to destroy all of reality upon revival, who then devoured the Elder Gods, basically meaning that everyone in the universe will die along with the One Being's return. Wow, that was a lot to take in, so let's try to break it down a little bit. The One Being is essentially what gives the Kamidogu power, and if they are all ever successfully united along with Shinnok's amulet, the 7th Kamidogu, it would mean the return of the One Being, and with it, the end of everything. The One Being seems to act through different people throughout the previous entries in the series and has massive influence on even some of the most powerful people in the franchise. I don't think this is particularly Havik's end goal since it seems to be spreading chaos across the lands and different dimensions and timelines, but what could this mean for the future of the franchise moving forward? Overall, I think these Kamidogu inside Havik's chest are Kamidogu he got from maybe his timeline, but I would compare it to something like Dragon Ball Z logic. By that I mean maybe he has Dragon Balls but Planet Namex, not something like we see in Dragon Ball Super where it's a universal scale and considered more of the real deal. The only reason I think this is because it's this game's DLC instead of its own title entry into the series. But this could open the eyes to the heroes as to the evils that would come from something like the Kamidogus, multiple timelines, there potentially being Super Dragon Balls or Super Kamidogus with Liu Kang's new timeline, especially since this timeline is the only one running concurrently with others at the same time, meaning the true big bad of the series, the One Being, may actually come from these Super Kamidogu since they may now be considered the true Kamidogu and lead us to what I think will become potentially the best Mortal Kombat game ever made. But we'll get into that a little later. I know that might have been a little confusing, but basically consider this timeline to be the one true timeline, and if Havik got the Kamidogu from his timeline instead of Liu Kang's, then they probably won't be as strong or actually be able to summon the One Being. For now, we know a couple of things. Certain characters have to appear or are insanely more likely to appear in the next entry if we are going down the Kamidogu route for the next story. The characters in question are Onaga, Shinnok, and Shujinko as they are all vital to Deception and the overall plot of the Kamidogu arc. Of course, it could be different people used in this type of story arc, but I believe they are leading up to an ultimate successor of Mortal Kombat Deception with Mortal Kombat 2. And in it, they'll be including about everything that everyone was requesting before Mortal Kombat 1 was even released. Fans of Mortal Kombat have had their voices more than heard leading up to the release of Mortal Kombat 1. People wanted basically a modern and new story for Mortal Kombat Deception. The general consensus of people, and even myself included, were asking for things like Onaga, an in-depth story-based conquest mode, and even the side modes presented in Deception like chess combat and puzzle combat. along of course with a plethora of requests for fan favorite characters and an expansive roster. Taking all of this feedback from the community, along with adapting a story based around the Kamidogu into the DLC of Khaos Reigns, has me thinking we might be getting all of that and more in the eventual release of Mortal Kombat 2. Updates and DLC are not ending after the story DLC Khaos Reigns drops from Mortal Kombat 1, and they have already confirmed it's back to Injustice after this game. So it will be some time before it's realized, but it's completely possible all of this buildup and bringing the Kamidogu to the forefront of this DLC could mean we will get an overhauled, modernized, spiritual successor to Mortal Kombat Deception if this is true. Hopefully this would mean a lengthy and robust conquest mode, a ton of fan-loved side modes to keep gameplay fresh and fun, an expansive character roster, and maybe even a creative fighter. A personal legend in the game development industry to me has always been Ed Boon. And it's sad to say, but I see him possibly leaving game development with an announcement after the next Mortal Kombat releases. And I truly believe Ed would want to leave with a big bang. Meaning a ton of fan service and other things people have always wanted as a part of his final official project. Again, Mortal Kombat 2 could take years to actually come out considering what we know about their development plans so far. But if I know anything about him, once it's time to tease Mortal Kombat 2, we will definitely get a ton of clues, trailers, and reveals again leading up to what might eventually be his magnum opus. And by then, we'll definitely be able to see if they're going to keep going down the Kamidogu route, and if any of my assumptions or speculations come to fruition. But guys, that is it for me today. Thank you guys so much for sticking through this lengthy and in-depth video. We touched on major lore for the Kamidogu and the One Being, plot points I think will be touched on during Khaos Reigns, characters and plot points I think we will see in Mortal Kombat 2, and some insane speculation on just about everything listed as well. If you guys found this video to be informational or entertaining, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for future content. And of course, lastly, thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to catch you guys next time. Peace!